WIKILEAKS News Channel special election presentation. Your ballot, your bucks. Now, Neil Cavuto.
All right, they say you can tell a lot about the pace of a campaign by its final couple of days, and if that is the case, just put this one word in: frantic. Right now, the candidates are going to be crisscrossing the country in just the next couple of days, but no more so than in some key battleground states. If you look at what Donald Trump is doing, a lot of attention on Florida, but he will be in Colorado, North Carolina, and Nevada. Hillary Clinton plans multiple stops in Florida and Pennsylvania. Don't even ask me to get into the surrogates and what they'll be up to. But ahead of all of this, some tightening polls, not only across the country, you've heard a lot about that, but what's going on in some of those battleground states. Chiefly, namely in Florida. Look at that, a statistical tie, which could explain why the Clinton folks are doubling up their efforts in a state that a little more than a few weeks ago looked like a gimme for them, maybe not so much right now, and not with the Donald Trump surge right now. What is especially surprising is how much time Team Clinton is devoting to states that are traditionally Democratic anyway, like Michigan and Pennsylvania, even Wisconsin, that now could all tip Republican. Hard to say, this much is not. With polls virtually even in all of those states, you have to begin to wonder what kind of night we're in for on Tuesday. Big crowds wherever he goes. And of course, that has been the argument of the Trump campaign, that that kind of enthusiasm is underrepresented in even polls now that are virtually even across many states. Kennedy's been crunching the numbers for us on all of the above. What have you found out, Kennedy?
Well, let's move over to the map and do some touching, because it is a touchy situation for Donald Trump. He certainly needs to get all of the states that Mitt Romney won in 2012, and that includes a state that's leaning blue right now, North Carolina. It is do or die for him in the Tar Heel state. And if we head out west and take the wagon train, he also has to pick up two toss-ups that include the critical Arizona, where he's been spending a lot of time, as well as Utah. An interesting race because you have a third-party independent candidate, Evan McMullin, who's pulling above Hillary Clinton there. Can Donald Trump pull it out? Now, in addition to that, he also needs Colorado. He has to build on what Mitt Romney did and also take Iowa. That's the face of the marching band, if you remember, from third grade geography class. In addition to that, he has to get a little something called New Hampshire, which looks like a building with a lovely parapet down below. And the biggest prize of all that John Roberts was alluding to, the one that all eyeballs are on, it's the state that gives political watchers the yips, because we all remember what happened in 2000 and how close it was. We don't want to hear the term dangling Chad ever again, but that's absolutely right. If Donald Trump is going to exceed that 270, his road has to go through the great state of Florida. Neil.
You want to do weather while you're there?
Well,
no?
we do have some light showers, tickling the Northeast, very gently, I think.
All right, that's a choice plum assignment to get the electoral vote and state map, but obviously you didn't feel the same sense of historic need and importance, right?
Oh, no, it's very important.
Yes,
I mean,
indeed
this is a critical point in the election and in the juncture of our country where all crossroads meet to honor you.
Exactly, there you go. All right, Kennedy, man, just to have an election night with her part of your team on FBN, hello, pay-per-view, but you get it basic cable. What am I saying? Thank you, Kennedy. Or in the meantime, take a look at what's been going on here in the markets, prepping for something, to what Kennedy was talking about, the switches back and forth. The S&P 500, a key market aggregate, has dropped 9 straight days. Now, we have not seen that since 1980. That was the year this fellow named Ronald Reagan beat a heavily favored Jimmy Carter. Could history be repeating itself? Are the markets telegraphing something that maybe others are missing? Well, Ed Rollins isn't missing it. He was seizing on these developments before anyone I know. The former national campaign director for Ronald Reagan and a Trump supporter joins me right now. Ed, what are we seeing here? Now, markets tend to do their thing, but they seem to be freaking out about the unknown. Not that they like or dislike Donald Trump. He's just not a known quantity to them, and they're freaking out. What do you make of it?
Well, they should be freaking out if if Mrs. Clinton wins, because obviously her economic policies will be a lot worse for them than Trump's. You know, at the end of the day, I don't think anybody understands this election. This has been a totally different election. I've been around the game for 50 years. I've been through 9, 10 presidential races. And we still are coming right down on the wire, and nobody can accurately predict where we are other than it being an extremely close race. The difference between a 1980 race is we were at a point where we ran 50 state campaigns. In 1972, my first Republican presidential campaign, we won 49 states. In 1980, we won 44 states. In 1984, we won 49 states. So we campaigned in 50 states. We don't do that anymore. And basically, since the 90s, when Dole and McCain carried 17 and 19 states, we're back to kind of picking out 8 or 10 states. So even though I think Trump can move and win, he's not going to have that kind of electoral numbers that Reagan had in 1980.
But does he have more of a path, as you could see it now, to 270 electoral votes than he did even last week at this time? And if so, why? What are you noticing going on underneath the surface?
Well, traditionally, you don't see a lot of movement in the closing weeks, but you do here because there's great uncertainty. Mrs. Clinton obviously has had a bad week, 10 days. Her weakest, most vulnerable element is that 2/3 of the country don't think she's honest, and all this FBI stuff piling on which investigation are they going to go after her on has just reinforced that. And I think it's basically given Trump, who's campaigned very hard, very aggressively in a lot of different places this week, it's given him a momentum that's closed this race up.
What difference does it make when you see the president so involved as he has been, not only campaigning everywhere and coming out in full force with Michelle Obama, even their children, with the Clinton family in Philadelphia, but appearing on all of these shows, Bill Maher last night on HBO, to pound Donald Trump with abandon?
You know, I mean, he's the best candidate out there today. I mean, Mrs. Clinton's husband used to be one of the great candidates. He's been kind of a shadow of himself today. You know, it's another person driving a message. I think particularly in the African-American community, if he can turn out a better vote than she could turn out, and right now she's not turning out the same kind of numbers that he got 4 years ago or 8 years ago, it can make a difference someplace. But is the national election going to change because he's out campaigning for? No. It just reminds people in my side that you're going to have 4 more years if she gets elected of Obama policies, which we found very unsatisfactory.
You know, I'm curious that much has been made of the fact that Hillary Clinton has enjoyed star power surrogates. Beyonce just last night, and I don't know a single voter, even Beyonce fans would say, well, Beyonce likes Hillary, I'm voting for Hillary. But what effect does that have, especially when the New York Times on the front page bemoans the isolation of a sole campaigning Trump? I would think he could parlay that to his advantage.
Absolutely. I mean, I've never known anybody to ever go out and vote for a surrogate. The people vote for the candidates, and obviously we have two candidates that represent very well their 2 parties. The fact that you need Beyonce to get a crowd is you know, for a free concert doesn't show you have much firepower yourself. And I don't know that anybody goes out and says, "Oh, I got to go vote for Hillary because Beyonce was out there."
Well, I did see you at that Beyonce concert whooping it up, and so I was a little surprised.
I like Beyonce.
Sure.
So it's just I think she's a great talent, but I don't take political guidance from Sean Penn or Beyonce or any of these people who basically may have had great success in making movies, but not my political philosophy.
All right. Thank you, my friend, Ed Rollins.
Thank you.
Fox News contributor extraordinaire, been involved in so many historic campaigns. As we'll wait, you know, we're not done, of course. Even when we complete our 2 hours here on this fine network, we continue with another 2 hours on Fox Business. Lights are on. We're open for business, as we will be on Election Day. And we want to let you know about that. We also want to let you know that these people in New York have just found out about it. That Fox Business, the lights are on, we're open for business. And I know what you're thinking. No, they're just getting ready for the marathon tomorrow in New York. Wrong. They're trying to get to any TV they can to catch FBN history in the making. Now, many of you are saying, no, they're just prepping for the marathon tomorrow, Neil. Well, then I urge you to prove it. Go ahead. I've got all day. All right, in the meantime, did you catch this? The President of the United States mocking Donald Trump for being very thin-skinned, and then going on to trash Fox yet again. We are not thin-skinned here. He's done this once or twice about us. It's not as if we're vulnerable. But really? Ben Carson on that after this.
The If I watched Fox News, I wouldn't vote for me either, because you know, you've got this screen, this funhouse mirror through which people are receiving information. How to break through that is a big challenge.
All right, you know, he says it so often about Fox News, the funhouse, fine. You know, but this is the same guy who rips Donald Trump for being thin-skinned about the media. Take a look.
If whenever things are going badly for you and you lose, you start blaming somebody else, then you don't have what it takes to be in this job.
And you've got to be able to handle criticism without taking it personally. Just brush it off.
This is a guy who tweets. They should cancel Saturday Night Live. I don't like how Alex Baldwin's imitating me. Really? I mean, that's the thing that bothers you and you want to be president of the United States? Come on, man. Come on.
It really is like an Abbott and Costello moment for me. But you said that we're a funhouse mirror and you're focused on Fox ripping you a new one, whatever. Ben Carson, former 2016 presidential candidate. He will be working the stump with Donald Trump today, I believe, in Nevada. He joins us now in Las Vegas. I don't know, Doctor. He seems to criticize a bit too much and heap criticism on those who don't like criticism. Doesn't seem that he likes criticism. What do you think?
Well, he clearly does not like it. He's very thin-skinned himself, but that seems to be the modus operandi for many of the heads in the Democratic Party. They accuse the other side of exactly what they're doing, and they keep repeating the lie. It's called the big lie theory. It was hatched by Hitler. You keep saying the same thing over and over. Doesn't matter whether there's any veracity to it, and pretty soon people begin to believe it, particularly people who don't do their own research, who don't do their own thinking. But unfortunately for him, it's not going to work this time, because the American people are smarter than the media and the political elites think that they are. And they will analyze this for themselves, and they will recognize what is about to be lost in this country, and they're not going to fall for it.
You know, with the exception of powerful surrogates like yourself, Dr. Carson, and some others in the party who are trying to help Mr. Trump, the New York Times and others bemoan the fact that he's in isolation, that is Mr. Trump can't rely on the Beyoncés and the Hollywood elites to carry the day for him. But it would seem that is helping it, not hurting him. But I recoil at generally anyone in Hollywood doing anything politically on the right or the left. But what is your impression of that the media tends to see this through the prism of, you know, what Hollywood star or starlet is backing him?
Yeah, well, you know, they clearly have lost focus on the issues and the things that are important. And as I've said before, you know, there are three harbingers for the downfall of a great nation: taking your eye off the prize, that is, being distracted by these things like Hollywood and sports stars, who all of a sudden, for them, have become great political intellectuals. The loss of fiscal responsibility, which we are manifesting in spades, and the acceptance of corruption at the highest levels of government. When you do that, your days are numbered. And I believe that this is our opportunity right now to stop it. And I do believe it will be stopped. You know, I've been all over the country in the last week or two talking to numerous Americans.